within movement. So if you're new to me, welcome. My name is Nadia, and I started my coaching business several years ago. And the focus of it when I first started was really about doing work that you love, really focusing on what I refer to as your work and your woo, really highlighting your gifts and your strengths within your soul business, your soul calling. And over the years of coaching and working with female entrepreneurs, I really started to see a shift in what was happening within not only the coaching space, but also just the bigger impact that a lot of my clients, and honestly, the bigger impact that I was feeling called to make. And I've started to feel this shift into what I call really focusing in on being rich within. Because something really interesting happens when you start to attract more money into your business, when you really start to hone in on your gifts as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, and you start to hit these financial milestones. And you already know that you're a really powerful money manifester. You know that you are able to reach the levels of income that you feel called to within your business. But there tends to be something kind of deep within that you're not necessarily consciously aware of at first. It's very subconscious. And you sort of hit these goals, and then new things kind of come up to the surface that you didn't realize were there. And a lot of us are on what I like to call our healing journey with money. We are working through our money blocks, as they like to say. We're really focusing on shifting our beliefs, shifting our limiting beliefs. But oftentimes we kind of get stuck in this cycle, and I like to call it your 6-figure cycle of like, you're always kind of working towards healing, that you're putting so much energy on the things you need to work through that you don't necessarily focus on what I like to call your financial superpower, your gifts, your money-making abilities. And so it really keeps you in the cycle of not being able to go to the next level. And as we hit these milestones and these things come up that maybe we didn't realize were going to come up, these things that are holding us back that we didn't realize were holding us back, again, it kind of keeps us in this cycle of not moving to the next phase. And so when I discovered this within not only myself, after I hit some major goals within my business and within my life, and I started to notice these things coming up that I wasn't necessarily expecting to come up. Like I said, I feel like I worked through a lot of things, and you might be feeling like this too. You work through a lot of things, you're on this really good momentum, but then things come up that it's almost like they kind of blindside you, because consciously you don't realize that these things are impacting you because it's very subconscious. And so this led me down the path to really uncovering different things, different tools, different resources that can help us to move through these things quickly. So like I said, we don't have to keep focusing in on the healing journey. Not that that's not important, not that you don't want to release your limiting beliefs and really focus in on the things that are holding you back, but it's almost like it's becoming like a crutch for a lot of us, where we're not actually getting out of the cycle because we're so focused on the healing and the healing and the healing. And so for me personally, and what I am focused on using moving forward within my business, with myself, but also with my clients, is different tools like energy healing, EFT tapping, which is emotional freedom technique, which I also like to call energy tapping, and also hypnotherapy, in particular financial hypnotherapy, to help you really shift these things quickly that are coming up as you hit these milestones, so that you can move on to the next phase, the next goal, and really release a lot of these things that are holding you back. And as I was working through these things with myself, this concept, this idea of being rich within started to emerge. Because oftentimes what's happening is we are so much looking to the external that we almost get disconnected from what it's supposed to be within, with how our work is meant to impact others based on how we internally feel like it's supposed to impact others, and not the other way around. And so to really help you work through these things, I've created the Rich Within method. And like I said, it's using tools like financial hypnotherapy, energy tapping, to really help you hone in and pay attention to what these things are, so that you can shift them, and then it's almost like move on to the next thing, instead of staying there in that cycle. Because for myself, I found that I was hitting these goals, but then not really progressing to the next thing because I was staying in this cycle. And I'm noticing this with a lot of other female entrepreneurs, and I don't feel like a lot of people are really talking about this, that once you do hit these milestones, once you do hit these numbers that you've been really working towards for months, maybe even years, and you finally hit it, and then there's still something that feels like it's missing. There's still something that feels like it's off. And it's really about shifting these things subconsciously so that you can move on and let it go. And it is all within, because a lot of it is, like I said, we are not consciously aware of it. We don't really understand. We don't see it in the everyday, even though we can feel that something is holding us back, something is keeping us there. And so if this sounds like you, if this resonates with you, if you're a female entrepreneur, a soulful entrepreneur, spiritual entrepreneur, and you feel like you've hit these milestones, but what you were sort of anticipating it being like is different than the reality, and things are coming to the surface that you didn't even think that you needed to work through, and you're not really sure how to shift out of them, then I created the Rich Within method for you, because it's something that I personally went through, and it's something that I want to help other female entrepreneurs shift through as well. Because like I said, I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about what it means to hit a level that you've been working towards for so long, but it's still feeling like something is off, something's missing, something's not quite right. And it really is these subconscious things that are running in the background that we don't really notice until we hit a certain milestone. Sometimes a lot of things don't come up for us until we hit a point that we've been working towards for so long, and then we realize, okay, we're not really feeling the way that we thought we would. So if this sounds like you, if you're a female entrepreneur, you've been running your business for a while, and you've been hitting these beautiful financial milestones, but something still feels like it's not quite right, or you need to shift through some things to move to the next level. If there's things that are coming up, especially from childhood, for me, I really noticed that there was a lot of connection with things that happened when I was really, really young that I honestly had forgotten about, that came up when I started hitting these milestones that I realized I needed to work through. I like to refer to these connections that we hold on to, these beliefs that a lot of times are not ours. It's based on what I like to refer to as your wealthy role models. So we have these role models in our life that are either helping us to really feel good and to amplify our wealth and our money making abilities, and then we have our wealthy role models that are really keeping us in a state of lack, and not necessarily consciously they were doing this. It was just based on their own life and what they were dealing with, and so it's imprinted on us. And sometimes we forget that we even have these beliefs, because we've been able to hit our milestones. We've been able to, attract the 6 figures or the multiple 6 figures. And so we think, oh, we're good, we're fine, we've already worked through our money stuff. And then something comes to the surface, something reemerges. And like I said, we get stuck in the cycle of trying to process and heal it, and we never really move through it and start putting that energy into the next level and into our money making abilities and amplifying what it is that we're doing. We kind of just get stuck in the same level. And it's something that I feel really called to talk about, because like I said, I don't feel like there's a lot of people talking about this. And it's almost like, oh, you hit your 6 figures or your multiple 6 figures, and now it's like on to the next, and we're going on to the next thing. But it's, what if you hit that level and then something still feels off and something still doesn't feel right, and you find yourself in a sense like trapped in a cycle. That's what Rich Within is all about. The Rich Within method, the Rich Within movement is really helping those of you who are, like I said, female entrepreneurs, spiritual, soulful entrepreneurs. You want to create a heart-centered, or you have created a heart-centered, soulful business, but you feel like you're not getting to that next level, and you know that you're meant to be there, but there's something that you need to shift and work through. It's really about focusing in on being rich within. And if you've been following along for a little while, you know that I've created this framework called the abundance archetypes. And again, it's really about helping you shift away from the limiting the beliefs and the things holding you back, and not necessarily like not really fully processing your healing journey with money, but also but really just identifying it and then shifting your focus, like I said, into your superpower. And that's what the archetypes are about. It's about really honing in on your money making gifts, so that you're not dwelling and living in a place that's keeping you at a level that you're ready to outgrow and move on from. So if this sounds like you, I would love to connect in with you. There's information about the Rich Within method down below. This is a really, really powerful container, group coaching container, that is going to be live to really help you connect into these subconscious beliefs and ideas and things that are keeping you in your cycle of not getting to the next phase, so that you can move through it quickly. And like I said, focus on your archetype, your abundance archetype, and really amplifying your wealthy identity to the level that you really want to focus on. So comment down below, let me know your takeaways from this, any questions you have, and I look forward to connecting with you further.